I'll admit it. When most people think about getting older, the picture that comes to mind isn't exactly an inspiring one. Creaky joints, failing memory, shrinking social circles. The mainstream narrative around aging is one of steady decline and deterioration. But I'm here to tell you that this is a complete and total myth. The truth is, aging doesn't have to mean the end of your vitality, your mental sharpness, or your zest for life. In fact, with the right habits and mindset, getting older can be a phase of tremendous growth, fulfillment, and vibrant health. See, for too long, we've been fed this idea that the aging process is something that happens to us, an inevitable slide into physical and cognitive decline that we're powerless to stop. But the reality is, you have far more control over how you age than you've been led to believe. Let me share a personal story that really drives this point home. My grandmother, Edna, is 87 years old, and she's quite possibly the most energetic, mentally sharp and socially engaged senior citizen I know. Up until a few years ago, she was still working part-time, taking Zumba classes 3 times a week, and going on regular hiking trips with her friends. Even now, at 87, Edna is the life of the party wherever she goes. She's constantly learning new skills, whether it's mastering the latest app on her iPad or teaching herself to play the ukulele. And her memory puts mine to shame. She can recall the name of every one of her 15 grandchildren, along with their birthdays and favorite ice cream flavors. What's Edna's secret? It's not genetics, and it's certainly not luck. It's the conscious lifestyle choices she's made over the course of her life. Edna has always been an avid walker, a mindful eater, and a lifelong learner. And she's maintained a robust social circle, regularly getting together with friends to play cards, volunteer, or just enjoy each other's company. The point is, Edna's story is a powerful testament to the fact that aging doesn't have to be a passive process. With the right habits and mindset, you can actively shape the trajectory of your later years and enjoy an incredible amount of vitality, mental sharpness, and overall well-being in the process. And the research backs this up. Study after study has shown that lifestyle factors play a massive role in determining how we age. Things like regular physical activity, a nutrient-dense diet, cognitive engagement, and strong social connections have all been linked to extended lifespan, reduced risk of chronic disease, and enhanced cognitive function. In fact, one landmark study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that people who adopted just 5 key healthy habits, things like not smoking, maintaining a healthy weight, and exercising regularly, were able to add over a decade to their lifespan compared to those who didn't. That's right, over 10 extra years of vibrant, fulfilling life just by making some relatively simple lifestyle changes. And the best part is, these habits don't have to be complicated or time-consuming. They're things that with a little bit of intention and consistency, anyone can incorporate into their daily routine. So if the idea of growing older fills you with dread and resignation, I want you to forget everything you've been told. Aging is not a sentence to be passively endured. It's an opportunity to be actively embraced. With the right mindset and the right habits, you can not only stave off the ravages of time, but actually experience a level of vitality and well-being that most people wouldn't dare to dream of in their later years. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share the 5 golden habits that can transform the aging process from a phase of decline into a period of strength, joy, and unparalleled fulfillment. These aren't your grandparents' retirement tips. This is a whole new paradigm for thriving as you get older. But before we dive into the specifics, I want to make one thing crystal clear. This isn't about vanity or appearance. This isn't about trying to look 10 years younger or turn back the clock. This is about reclaiming your health, your mental sharpness, and your zest for life, so that you can make the most of every precious moment and enjoy the richness that the later stages of life have to offer. All right, let's dive into the first of our 5 golden habits for healthy aging, taking regular walks. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Walking, that's it. How is that going to transform my aging process? But trust me, the power of walking should never be underestimated. This simple, accessible activity is quite possibly one of the most potent tools we have for combating the effects of aging, both physically and mentally. Let me give you an example that really drives this home. My neighbor Jack is 82 years old, and up until a few years ago, he was dealing with a host of age-related health issues, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, and even the early stages of Alzheimer's. His doctors had him on a laundry list of medications, and he was starting to lose his independence and mobility. But then Jack made a decision that would completely change the trajectory of his golden years. He committed to taking a 30-minute walk every single day. Rain or shine, hot or cold, Jack would lace up his sneakers and hit the pavement, rain or shine. At first it was tough. His joints ached, he got winded easily, and he had to stop and rest a few times during each walk. But Jack stuck with it, and within a few months, the transformation was nothing short of remarkable. His blood pressure and blood sugar levels normalized, he was able to cut back on most of his medications, and his cognitive function started to sharpen up. But the physical benefits were just the beginning. Jack also found that his daily walks had a profound impact on his mental health. He said the time spent moving his body and connecting with nature was incredibly grounding and restorative, helping to alleviate his feelings of anxiety and depression, and, perhaps most importantly, those walks gave Jack a sense of purpose and independence that he hadn't felt in years. Instead of feeling like a burden to his family, he took pride in his ability to care for his own health and well-being. The walks became the highlight of his day, a chance to clear his mind, boost his mood, and feel a deep sense of accomplishment. Now, Jack is 82 years young, and he's living his best life. He's off most of his medications. His cognitive function is sharper than ever, and he's even started taking up new hobbies like gardening and bird watching, all because he made the simple decision to lace up his shoes and go for a daily walk. And Jack's story is far from unique. Study after study has shown the incredible benefits of regular walking for older adults. Walking has been linked to a reduced risk of heart disease by up to 40%, as well as lower rates of type 2 diabetes, certain cancers, and Alzheimer's disease. But the physical perks are just the tip of the iceberg. Walking has also been shown to have a profound impact on mental health, releasing feel-good endorphins that can alleviate symptoms of depression and anxiety. And when you make walking a social activity by inviting a friend or family member along, it can also help combat the loneliness and isolation that so many older adults struggle with. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I have arthritis, bad knees, mobility issues. There's no way I can walk regularly. And I hear you. For some older adults, traditional walking may not be feasible or comfortable. But the good news is, there are plenty of modifications and alternatives that can make this habit accessible for everyone. Maybe it's starting with just 10 minutes a day and gradually building up your endurance, or incorporating more low-impact activities like swimming or cycling. Heck, even just marching in place while watching TV can provide many of the same benefits. The key is finding a form of movement that feels good for your body and that you can stick with consistently, because that consistency is truly the name of the game here. Walking isn't some quick fix or one-time solution. It's a lifestyle habit that needs to be woven into your daily routine. But I promise you, if you make the commitment and stick with it, the payoffs will be absolutely life-changing. So my challenge to you is this. Starting today, make a plan to incorporate more walking into your daily life. Whether it's a brisk, 30-minute stroll around your neighborhood, a leisurely lap around the mall, or even just some laps around your living room, find a way to get your body moving on a consistent basis. All right, now that we've covered the power of regular walking, let's dive into the second golden habit for healthy aging, paying close attention to your diet. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Diet? Really? Isn't that just another generic piece of advice we've all heard a million times before? But trust me, when it comes to combating the effects of aging, what you put on your plate is absolutely crucial. But trust me, the power of walking should never be underestimated. This simple, accessible activity is quite possibly one of the most potent tools we have for combating the effects of aging, both physically and mentally. Let me give you an example that really drives this home. My neighbor Jack, is 82 years old, and up until a few years ago, he was dealing with a host of age-related health issues. Let me share a personal story that really drives this point home. My grandfather, Hank, was the picture of health for most of his life. He was an avid golfer, he had a sharp mind, and he was the life of the party wherever he went. But in his late 70s, things started to take a turn. Hank began struggling with his memory. He started packing on the pounds, and his energy levels plummeted. His doctor diagnosed him with type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure, and suddenly, Hank found himself relying on a laundry list of medications just to get through the day. It was a tough transition, both physically and emotionally. Hank had always prided himself on his vibrant health, and now he felt like he was slowly losing his independence and vitality. But then, something changed. Hank decided to take a long, hard look at his diet and make some drastic adjustments. He cut out the processed foods, the sugary snacks, and the empty carbs that had become staples in his daily routine. Instead, Hank started loading up on nutrient-dense whole foods, things like leafy greens, colorful fruits and veggies, healthy fats, and lean proteins. He also made sure to stay hydrated by drinking plenty of water throughout the day. And the transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Within just a few months, Hank's blood sugar and blood pressure levels had normalized. He'd lost a significant amount of weight, and his energy and mental clarity had skyrocketed. He was even able to reduce his reliance on most of his medications, but the benefits went beyond just the physical. Hank told me that his improved diet had a profound impact on his mood and overall sense of well-being. He felt sharper, more focused, and more resilient in the face of life's challenges. And he credited his healthier eating habits with helping him stave off the cognitive decline that he had been so worried about. Now, at 82 years old, Hank is living his best life. He's back on the golf course, he's traveling the world, and he's as sharp as a tack. All because he made the decision to prioritize his nutrition and fuel his body with the right kinds of foods. And Hank's story is just one example of the incredible power of diet when it comes to healthy aging. Study after study has shown that a nutrient-rich, whole food-based diet can have a dramatic impact on longevity and overall well-being as we get older. For instance, research has found that people who adhere to a Mediterranean-style diet, that's high in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats, have up to a 35% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease compared to those who don't. And a diet high in antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds has been linked to a reduced risk of chronic conditions like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and certain cancers. But it's not just about avoiding the bad stuff. It's also about making sure you're getting enough of the good stuff. Proper hydration, for example, is crucial for maintaining energy levels, cognitive function, and healthy skin as we age. And nutrient-dense whole foods like leafy greens, berries, and fatty fish provide the vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that our bodies need to thrive. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but healthy eating is so expensive and time-consuming. How am I supposed to do that on a budget or with a busy lifestyle? And I hear you. Navigating the world of nutrition can feel overwhelming, especially when you're on a fixed income or juggling a lot of other responsibilities. But the good news is there are plenty of simple, affordable, and time-saving ways to incorporate more whole, nutrient-rich foods into your diet.
Things like batch cooking hearty soups and stews, keeping your freezer stocked with frozen fruits and veggies, and finding creative ways to sneak more greens into your... All right. Now that we've covered the power of physical activity and proper
nutrition, let's dive into the third golden habit for healthy aging, keeping your mind active and engaged. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. My memory isn't what it used to be. How am I supposed to keep my brain sharp when I'm constantly forgetting things? And I get it. The idea of cognitive decline as we get older can be a real source of anxiety and frustration. But the good news is, there's a wealth of research showing that with the right mental stimulation, we can actually stave off age-related memory loss, and even improve our cognitive function as we get older. It's all about challenging your brain and keeping it active and engaged on a regular basis. Let me share a story that really illustrates this point. My neighbor, Mabel, is 84 years old, and she's one of the sharpest, most intellectually curious people I know. Up until a few years ago, Mabel was working part-time as a bookkeeper, and in her free time she was constantly taking classes, reading voraciously, and challenging herself with all kinds of brain teasers and puzzles. But then Mabel retired, and she started to notice some changes in her memory and mental acuity. She would occasionally forget where she put her keys, or struggle to recall a familiar name or word. At first, she was really worried that this was the beginning of cognitive decline, and she started to feel self-conscious about it. But instead of resigning herself to the idea that her brain was just going to keep deteriorating, Mabel decided to get proactive. She started making a concerted effort to keep her mind active and engaged on a daily basis. She joined a local book club, she started taking online courses in subjects she was passionate about, and she made a habit of doing crossword puzzles and Sudoku every single day. And the results were nothing short of remarkable. Within just a few months, Mabel noticed a significant improvement in her memory and her ability to focus. She was retaining information better. She was coming up with creative solutions to problems more easily, and she just felt sharper and more mentally agile overall. But the benefits went beyond just the cognitive realm. Mabel also found that her newfound mental stimulation had a profound impact on her mood and overall sense of well-being. She felt more energized, more engaged with the world around her, and more resilient in the face of life's challenges. And Mabel's story is just one example of the incredible power of mental activity when it comes to healthy aging. Study after study has shown that regularly challenging your brain through things like reading, learning new skills, and engaging in intellectually stimulating discussions can have a dramatic impact on cognitive function and longevity. In fact, research has found that older adults who regularly participate in mentally engaging activities have up to a 35% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia compared to those who don't. And the benefits aren't just limited to memory and recall. Mentally active individuals also tend to exhibit better problem-solving skills, improved focus and concentration, and enhanced overall cognitive flexibility. But it's not just about the big, complex mental challenges. Even simple everyday activities like listening to podcasts, playing word games, or having meaningful conversations with friends and family can provide a powerful boost to brain health. The key is to constantly be exposing your mind to new information, new ideas, and new ways of thinking. And the great thing is, there are so many accessible, affordable ways to keep your mind active and engaged as you get older. Things like joining a local book club, taking an online class, or even just challenging yourself with daily brain teasers can make a huge difference. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. But what if I'm not a book person, or I'm not naturally inclined towards intellectual pursuits? And I hear you. Not everyone finds the same kind of joy and fulfillment in traditional brain exercises. But the good news is, there are plenty of other ways to keep your mind sharp and stimulated. Maybe it's taking up a new hobby like painting, or woodworking, or getting involved in your community through volunteering or political activism. Heck, even something as simple as learning a new recipe or mastering the latest tech gadget can provide a powerful cognitive boost. The key is to find the activities that truly pique your curiosity and engage your passions. Because when you're genuinely interested and invested in what you're all right, now that we've covered the power of physical activity, proper nutrition, and mental stimulation, let's dive into the fourth golden habit for healthy aging, the importance of strength training. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Strength training? Isn't that just for young bodybuilders and athletes? But the reality is, building and maintaining muscle strength is absolutely crucial as we get older. In fact, it might just be one of the most important things you can do to combat the ravages of time and preserve your health and independence. Let me share a personal story that really illustrates this point. My aunt Sylvia is 78 years old, and up until a few years ago she was dealing with a host of age-related health issues. Everything from osteoporosis and joint pain to balance problems and a loss of mobility. She was relying on a laundry list of medications just to get through the day, and she was starting to feel like a burden to her family. But then, Sylvia made the decision to start incorporating regular strength training into her routine. At first, it was tough. She struggled with the exercises. She got easily fatigued, and she was self-conscious about her abilities compared to younger gym-goers. But Sylvia stuck with it, and the transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Within just a few months, Sylvia's joint pain had subsided, her balance and coordination had improved dramatically, and she was able to reduce her reliance on most of her medications. But the physical benefits were just the beginning. Sylvia also found that her newfound strength and mobility had a profound impact on her mental health and overall sense of well-being. She told me that being able to perform everyday tasks like climbing stairs and carrying groceries with ease had given her a renewed sense of independence and confidence, and the sense of accomplishment she felt from setting and achieving her strength training goals was incredibly empowering. Sylvia went from feeling like a passive victim of the aging process to an active participant in her own health and longevity. Now, at 78 years old, Sylvia is stronger, more mobile, and more vibrant than she's been in decades. She's hiking regularly, she's playing with her grandkids, and she's even started taking up new hobbies like gardening and ballroom dancing. All because she made the decision to prioritize strength training as part of her healthy aging journey. And Sylvia's story is just one example of the incredible power of resistance exercise when it comes to combating the effects of aging. Study after study has shown that strength training can have a dramatic impact on everything from muscle mass and bone density to balance, flexibility, and overall physical function. In fact, research has found that older adults who engage in regular strength training can actually reverse the effects of sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength that so often leads to frailty, falls, and a loss of independence. And by building stronger bones and improving balance, strength training can also significantly reduce the risk of osteoporosis and debilitating fractures. But the benefits go beyond just the physical. Strength training has also been shown to have a positive impact on cognitive function, mood, and overall quality of life. The sense of accomplishment and self-efficacy that comes from setting and achieving strength training goals can be incredibly empowering, helping to stave off feelings of depression and anxiety that so often accompany the aging process. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I'm not a gym person, and I don't have access to a lot of fancy equipment. How am I supposed to do strength training? And I hear you. The idea of pumping iron at the gym can be intimidating, especially as we get older. But the good news is, you don't need a lot of fancy equipment or a membership to a fancy gym to reap the benefits of strength training. In fact, some of the most effective exercises can be done right in the comfort of your own home, using just your own body weight or simple household items like resistance bands or canned goods. Things like squats, lunges, push-ups, and planks are all fantastic strength-building exercises that require minimal equipment and can be easily modified to suit your fitness level and any physical limitations you might have. And the best part is, you can do them anytime, anywhere, whether it's during a commercial break, while you're waiting for your morning coffee to brew, or as part of a dedicated workout routine. All right, we've covered a lot of ground when it comes to the first 4 golden habits for healthy aging: regular physical activity, a nutrient-rich diet, keeping your mind active, and the importance of strength training. But now, it's time to dive into the 5th and final habit that can truly transform the aging process: maintaining strong social connections. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Social connections? Isn't that just a nice-to-have rather than a must-have? But the reality is, the strength of your social ties can have a profound impact on your physical and mental health as you get older. In fact, research has shown that loneliness and social isolation can be just as detrimental to your well-being as smoking or obesity. Let me share a story that really illustrates this point. My dear friend Edith is 82 years old, and up until a few years ago, she was dealing with a lot of health issues. Everything from high blood pressure and type 2, diabetes to chronic pain and depression. Her doctors had her on a laundry list of medications, and she was starting to feel like a burden to her family. But then, Edith made the decision to get more socially engaged. She started volunteering at a local community center. She joined a book club, and she made a concerted effort to stay connected with her friends and loved ones on a regular basis. And the transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Within just a few months, Edith's physical health had improved dramatically. Her blood sugar and blood pressure levels normalized, her pain and discomfort subsided, and she was able to reduce her reliance on most of her medications. But the real game changer was the impact it had on her mental well-being. Edith told me that the sense of purpose and belonging she felt from her new social connections was incredibly empowering. Instead of feeling isolated and alone, she had a strong support system that lifted her up and helped her navigate the challenges of aging. And the joy and laughter she experienced from her regular social activities did wonders for her mood and overall outlook on life. Now, at 82 years old, Edith is thriving. She's active, engaged, and surrounded by a vibrant community of friends and loved ones. And she credits her newfound social connections as the key to reclaiming her health, her independence, and her zest for life. And Edith's story is just one example of the incredible power of social wellness when it comes to healthy aging. Study after study has shown that maintaining strong social ties can have a dramatic impact on everything from longevity and cognitive function to physical health and emotional well-being. In fact, research has found that older adults who are socially isolated or lonely have up to a 50% higher risk of developing dementia compared to those who have strong social connections. And loneliness has been linked to a higher incidence of depression, heart disease, and even premature death. But the benefits of social engagement go far beyond just staving off the negative effects of isolation. Strong social connections can also provide a powerful boost to your mood, your sense of purpose, and your overall quality of life. Things like volunteering, joining a club or group, or simply making time for regular social activities with friends and family can be incredibly fulfilling and energizing. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, but I'm an introvert, and I'm not really a joiner. How am I supposed to build these kinds of social connections? And I hear you. Not everyone thrives in big group settings or enjoys the hustle and bustle of a busy social calendar. But the good news is, there are plenty of ways to nurture meaningful social connections that align with your personal preferences and comfort level. Maybe it's hosting a monthly game night with a small group of close friends, or finding a quiet, contemplative hobby like gardening or birdwatching that you can enjoy with like-minded individuals. Heck, even something as simple as regularly checking in with loved ones over the phone or video chat can make a big difference. The key is to find the social activities and connections that truly energize and fulfill you, rather than draining your energy. Because when you're able to cultivate a sense of belonging and community in a way that feels authentic and comfortable for you, the benefits to your health and well-being can be truly transformative. So, as we wrap up our discussion of the 5 golden habits for healthy aging, I want to leave you with one final thought.